Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
The provincial government announces the revival of a student employment program.
We're bringing back the summer temporary employment program, popularly known as STEP.
A group of NAIT students is working on groundbreaking genetic research.
This way you can use it to detect certain proteins, post-silver staining. You could use it as a colorimetric assay, biomarker.
Queen Elizabeth School is using solar panels to learn about alternative energy.
It's such a simple technology, and it has such great application.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening. The provincial government is bringing back a popular employment program.
They are focusing on creating job opportunities for post-secondary students in Alberta. The NDP government plans to bring back the Summer Temporary Employment Program, or STEP, which the previous government cancelled in 2013. STEP plans to help college and university students gain work experience before graduation. Premier Rachel Notley and Minister Laurie Sigurdsson were at the University of Alberta on Tuesday to make the announcement.
Starting in 2016, STEP will support employers in creating more than 3,000 student jobs from May through August across Alberta.
Members of the Council of Alberta University Students were also in attendance to show support for the announcement. The government plans to have the program up and running by January.
Premier Rachel Notley extended her congratulations to Kent Hare and Amarjeet Sohi, the two Albertan MPs named to the federal cabinet by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in a speech at the legislature. Notley believes Hare will shine in his new role as Minister of Veteran Affairs and says Sohi, the new Minister of Infrastructure and Communities, has proven to be a strong community champion.
Having two Albertans in the federal cabinet can only be a plus for our province.
Notley says she is looking forward to working with the new Liberal government in power.
So it's a pleasure today for me to congratulate Prime Minister Trudeau and his cabinet ministers. I'm confident we'll have a productive relationship, and I very much look forward to working with them on the issues that matter to all Canadians and to all Albertans.
Canada's Parliament will reconvene on December 3rd.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch.
Schools like MIT, Stanford, and the University of Alberta come to mind when thinking about advances in theoretical and applied sciences in research technology. But now NAIT can be added to that list.
The subject of synthetic genetics is a relatively new science that is gaining international attention, and NAIT is on the ground floor after attending the iGEM competition. Samantha Marcellin joins us live from our news center with more on that story.
Thanks, Brennan. Team NAIT is making waves and holding their own at their recent participation in the internationally genetically engineered machine competition. The competition intends to create a handbook for the information on synthetic biological sciences. Team NAIT competed in Boston this past September in the second annual iGEM competition. The team was up against stiff competition in the developing world of synthetic biological sciences.
There's three levels. There's the high schools, there's overgraduate and undergraduate. So we competed in overgraduate.
The student team got a chance to meet students from around the world, and they agreed that networking was one of the biggest advantages to attending the competition.
Well, that's the biggest thing. You got people coming from all over the world, come together to know you're on the same level as those people and working alongside those as your peers. That's good.
The team of 6 came together in May, coming from varied backgrounds such as nanotechnology, mechanical engineering, and biological engineering to put NAIT on the map for scientific achievement. The experiment Team NAIT conducted was to determine whether or not a new color marker could be developed to mark protein in DNA. In simpler terms, the team intended to make it easier for scientists working with protein to mark and catalog new and existing protein in their research. Abby Goddard is a nanotechnology student and one of the founding members of Team NAIT.
We're hoping that it will help with possibly finding new proteins in the future, and also with forensics possibly being able to open up old cold cases.
Another aspect of the competition was to create a website and promotional video. The team utilized 3D graphics and interactive elements to make the site enticing and user-friendly. The team will graduate from their respective programs this year, and a number of members plan to continue research in molecular marker experiment. Samantha Marcellin, NAIT NewsWatch. Team NAIT received a silver medal at the iGEM competition and is excited to be on the forefront of this new science.
What applications can this experiment have for scientists in the future?
Well, scientists that deal with protein identification will have an easier time to mark and identify proteins and create new ones as well. This will help with forensics to identify new DNA proteins to help with identification.
Sam, synthetic genetics is a newer science, so how does the iGEM competition plan to expand general knowledge on the subject?
Well, basically, they're looking to create a handbook full of experiments and information for people that are interested in the science in the future, as well as current students.
Thanks, Samantha. That's Samantha Marcellin reporting live from our news center tonight. Albertans are preparing for another round of ice and snow on winter roads. You may think more fatal collisions occur due to the bad conditions, but a recent report states that's not quite true. According to a study from the Government of Alberta, the number of fatal collisions in 2014 for November and December decreased compared to September and October. The province, however, saw a rise in collisions that resulted in property damage.
We need to slow down and adjust the speed to the conditions. Let's not forget that the maximum speed limit that we have on the roads, that's the maximum speed limit under ideal conditions. So just because it says 50 or 60 kilometers per hour doesn't mean we should be driving that fast.
The report says the highest number of fatal collisions in Alberta occur in July.
Maintenance workers are shelving their hard hats as road construction season in Edmonton comes to a close. The city completed 90% of their road projects allocated for this year, costing a combined $451 million. 14 projects have timeline or budget issues.
We know that delays impact people's lives, and I want to reassure Edmontonians that we're doing everything possible to ensure these projects are completed as soon as possible.
The city does not want to rush the projects facing delays, such as the Walterdale Bridge.
We need to continue to build and repair of our roads, bridges, highways, but it must not come at the price of safety and security for citizens.
Dorian Wanzura says the city completed enough kilometers of road this season to pave 2 lanes from Edmonton to Calgary.
Several city organizations are tackling human trafficking with a new action plan.
Human trafficking and sexual exploitation are violations of fundamental human rights affecting millions of people around the world.
A report released by ACT Alberta and other community groups aims to end sex trafficking in Edmonton by increasing awareness of its existence through education and training. The number of victims coming forward continues to rise.
What we do know at ACT Alberta is that human trafficking numbers to our organization reports and referrals have doubled every year for the past 4 years. And what that means is not necessarily that the issue is increasing, but rather that awareness of the issue is increasing.
The action plan also aims to protect children and youth. The report can be found at actalberta.org.
The City of Edmonton is naming November Family Violence Prevention Month.
We stand together with you here to end the silence and to help end the violence.
The city kicked off the month-long campaign at City Hall on Monday. This year, the city is focusing on the importance of supporters such as family and friends for people affected by domestic abuse.
We recognize that so many people who are experiencing family violence in their community or in their home will often turn to family, coworkers, friends before even accessing other supports that are available to them.
In 2014, the Edmonton Police responded to more than 7,000 reports of family violence, a number they hope to decrease this year. The city and other Albertan communities will be hosting events throughout the month to help promote ending family violence.
An Edmonton high school is offering students the chance to learn about alternative energy sources right on its rooftop. Aaron DeBlanco is volunteering for the Environment Club while teaching at Queen Elizabeth High School and challenged his students to use their imaginations to come up with a project for the club. They installed solar panels on the roof of the school in 2011.
We had the panels in my classroom for a while, and so the students could touch them and pick them up, and see how much they weighed. Just by doing that and by being able to handle the different components, they really became more interested in it and how it worked.
Each panel produces about 185 watts of energy in a day. DeBlanco and his students are able to monitor the output using a computer program.
It's such a simple technology, and it has such great application.
Queen Elizabeth School received the Greenest School in Canada Award in 2015.
Coming up after the break, we take a look at how midterms are affecting students' stress levels.
We also have some tips for students on how to remain stress-free.
You can do to deal with stress is start preparing early. Don't leave everything to the last minute and try and cram.
Hey, I'm Tyson Nolan. Coming up in sports, we've got some Oil Kings highlights, and I'm going to try my luck at MMA.
I'm Kyle Matz, and although it's warm now, cooler weather's on the way. I have that and your Sunday forecast coming up after the break.
Well, the snow held off as long as it could, but we did see some on the ground this week.
Yeah, a lot more frost hitting the ground, and buses are being a little more delayed. People are driving more slowly. So let's go to weather with Kyle Matz and ask, will this continue?
Thanks, guys. Although some people consider this t-shirt weather, they may have to throw in a jacket early next week as we get a temperature dip. In Calgary, they'll be mostly cloudy with a low of -2 and a high of 5, 40% chance of precipitation there. In Jasper, it'll be cloudy with a 60% chance of snow, low of -4 and a high of -1. In moving north to Fort McMurray, they'll stay mostly below the freezing mark, -5 for the low and 0 for the high. Now, in our great city of Edmonton, we could be seeing some rain in the afternoon, turning over to snow in the evening, a low of -1 and a high of 4. And the temperatures are looking good, considering we're above seasonal averages for this time of year. The records, though, we hit 15 degrees in 1949 and -21 in 1902. That's been a look at your NAIT NewsWatch weather. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
NAIT NewsWatch weather is brought to you by NR92.com, the station for the students.
The halfway point of the semester means intimidating midterms for most students.
But with that stressful time over, our very own Danae Entity looks at how some students help bring down their stress levels.
For the average post-secondary student, midterms are a stressful time. Happening halfway through the semester, the goal of this exam is to test the knowledge of a student to make sure they're ready for at least half of their finals. Jonathan Lauder, an instrumentation student at NAIT, says that this time of the school year makes him quite anxious.
So like when you come into an exam and you look at the material, it kind of blank for a bit because you kind of have a little insanity for a bit, and then you try to get through it, but it's just that initial state of just being anxious.
Sweaty palms, butterflies in his stomach, and unable to breathe are just some of the signs of stress for Jonathan.
Like going to the gym and stuff helps me relieve stress.
Jonathan isn't the only student who stresses over midterms. It's quite common for others as well. And if students here at NAIT are feeling anxious over exams, they can find free help here at the guidance counselor's office.
Margaret Marion, a counselor here at NAIT, says that the number of students coming in for help peaks after exam time as students anxiously await for their marks.
We find that just before midterms they're busy studying and they're panicking, but they don't really have time to come in for counseling.
Students can calm themselves in stressful times by taking a walk, doing some breathing meditation, getting enough sleep, doing exercises, eating properly, and organizing yourself. Danae Entity, NAIT NewsWatch.
The Ukes men's hockey team is rolling along at a remarkable clip, and the Eskimos have just about 2 weeks before their next game.
Tyson now joins us for sports, and Tyson, the Ukes had a tough matchup on Wednesday. How'd they do?
They did quite well, guys. Actually, they impressed everyone who was there. And we'll actually go ahead and go back to Sunday against the Oil Kings. The Oil Kings took on Spokane in a rare appearance for the Chiefs at Rexall Place. Brett Pollock was honored as Oil Kings Player of the Month prior to puck drop. Pollock had 14 points in 16 games. On to the game, the Oil Kings strike first as Kobe Moore chips the puck to Dario Meyer, who promptly walks out front and scores. Later in the first, the Oil Kings would get a glorious chance on a breakaway, but are unable to convert, and Luke Bertolucci can't jam in the rebound. Skip ahead to the third, and the Oil Kings' lead evaporates on a turnover, and a slick finish from Kyler Yamamoto ties the game. Yamamoto waits 12.5 minutes before striking again and putting the Chiefs up for good. The Chiefs would score an empty net goal after the Oil Kings pressed hard in the dying minutes of the game. Final score in this one, 3-1. The Oil Kings play tonight at 7 p.m. against their rivals, the Calgary Hitmen. The NAIT men's hockey team is on an absolute tear early in the 2015-2016 season. They look to keep that going against the Augustana Vikings, who sit second in the ACAC. The Ukes sat atop the ACAC perfect at 10-0 going into the game against the Vikings on Wednesday night. Kenny Cameron got the nod in net for the Ukes. Move ahead to the first period, and it would be the Ooks scoring first as Jordan Wood breaks in and snaps one past Vikings goalie Andy Williams. Later in the first, the Vikings strike back on a goal from Alex Rogers, who beats Cameron before time expires. Now 2-1 Ooks in the third. They seal the game on a nice feed to Dallin Hall, who makes no mistake and extends the lead. Ooks take the game 4-1 to stay undefeated. Coach Mike Gabnett spoke about the importance of the win post-game.
You know, I think we were looking forward to this challenge, and they got a good team over there. They play a good, solid game with some good structure, and a Wednesday night game's a little bit tricky sometimes. Guys are in school all day, so it's a different than the usual Friday, Saturday, but I thought we took the first period to get going, but then I thought in the second, third, we were a lot better.
After winning it all in the ACAC, the Ooks women's soccer team is looking forward to a run at Nationals. The women's soccer team practiced at Clairview Recreation Center on Wednesday as they prepare for the Nationals competition.
So tonight we're just fine-tuning before we go to our national competition next week in Ontario. And so we're just going to try and focus on a few basic things and try and stay sharp over the course of the week.
The team will get into their first match at Nationals versus Mount St. Vincent University on Remembrance Day at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. The Ooks are ranked second in the national tournament. The Eskimos won the West Division last Sunday and are now on a 3-week break before the West Final. The Eskimos will face the winner of the West Final, or West Semifinal rather, between the Calgary Stampeders and BC Lions on November 22nd. Darrell Walker says the team is taking the time off as a way to rejuvenate.
Well, it gives guys a time to just slow down, slow down, catch up on some sleep, rest, get some workout, and heal. Time to heal. A couple guys probably have bumps and bruises, so it gives them time to.
The West Final will be played at Commonwealth at 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, the 22nd. For this week's End Zone Challenge, I hit the gym and attempted to learn some combat tricks. Third-ranked heavyweight in Canada, Tanner Bozer met me at Hayubasa Training Center. All right, well, now that warm-ups are over, Tanner, what are we learning today?
All right, first we're going to start off with some striking. All MMA fights start standing up. I'm going to teach you a jab and a cross, and then I'm going to teach you a single leg trip, and then a wrestling single leg takedown.
So starting off with punching, I got to tape on the punching gloves and get set to chuck 'em. For a guy who's never thrown a punch before, I certainly had a lot of learning to do. Maybe kicking would be more my style. I could at least get some power behind one or two of my kicks, but breaking my toes definitely scared me. Moving on to the takedowns, I was certainly out of my element.
And then once we get to the ground, I'm going to teach you how to do a rear naked choke from sitting and from back mount position, and I'll teach you an arm bar from mount. Yep, get in tight, man. So, yeah, you want those in there.
The submission seemed to be an easy way for a guy like me to end a fight. However, getting to the point of actually being able to get someone to tap out definitely wasn't easy.
Yep, and you're going to sit down, put that there, pull that.
Well, Tyson, that looked like a lot of fun, but you certainly looked like a rookie out there.
There's a few decent arm bars in there, but I was still laughing pretty hard.
Yeah, fighting's just not my thing, but it was nice to train against one of the best in Canada.
For sure. Thanks, Tyson. Coming up after the break, Brennan sacrifices his face fuzz as part of a yearly tradition.
We went to West Edmonton Mall for the launch of Movember in Edmonton.
Register, make your mustache count. Go to Movember.com. This raises awareness that Movember is the biggest men's health initiative out there.
Josh Ryan here. I'm at the Shaw Conference Center to watch Canadian comic Brent Butt try his hand at science experiments. We also have a military tribute, musical romance, and more coming up after the break in entertainment.
Hair services by Rock Salon and Spa.
With November in full swing, it's time to start growing those mustaches.
Movember Edmonton hosted a shave down at West Edmonton Mall, giving everyone a chance to start the month with a clean slate. Movember Canada is working to raise awareness of men's health issues, including prostate cancer and mental illness. I was lucky enough to receive a free shave to kickstart my stash.
And even though I wasn't offered a shave, I still got the chance to get involved. There are many options for women who want to support the cause.
You can support your Mobro or the men in your life by raising money, having conversations about men's health.
If you plan to grow your own mustache, be sure to register at Movember.com.
A lot of guys will grow the mustache, but they won't register. So register, make your mustache count.
The Movember campaign raised over $24 million in 2014.
Now, I like Halloween, although I don't like the cost of costumes, but I've eaten enough candy that maybe it's time to go out and catch a play or a concert in Edmonton.
It's true. You're in luck, Brendan. There's plenty going on in the city right now. Josh Ryan is about to tell us more in entertainment.
Thanks, Catherine. If you're looking for a musical night at the cinema, now is the perfect time for Edmontonians with the Citadel's latest feature, Evangeline. It's romantic, humorous, tragic, and a lavish piece of Canadiana. Evangeline comes to Edmonton after premiering in the Charlottetown Festival in September. It's an epic romance that spans several decades, including the 7 Years' War. José Boudreau, who plays the title character, says it's her favorite role at this point of her career.
She grows 40 years in one play, which is very unique for any character. It's very difficult, it's quite a challenge, but it's well worth it in the end.
The 17th century epic runs at the Citadel till November 22nd. Tickets are still available online at tickets.citadeltheatre.com. And we've got a copy of the play's soundtrack to give away, so just tweet in right now at NAIT NewsWatch with the hashtag Evangeline. And after you've enjoyed that historical Canadiana, make sure to check out the Roxy for a modern-day musical romance. The Last 5 Years, an original Chicago production recently adapted into a major motion picture, is playing at the Roxy Theatre by White Ave until November 15th. It's the story of a couple over 15 years, showing the perspective of both parties but in reverse, one at the beginning of the relationship, the other starting at the end.
It's like watching almost like an autopsy of a relationship, because you take so much of it apart in the way that they talk about each other.
Get your online tickets at tickets.theatrenetwork.ca. Everyone present at the Lumen Fundraising Gala on Wednesday was reminded of just how fun science can be. The gala's big attraction was Canadian comic Brent Butt, who participated in a few scientific experiments and had the crowd in stitches during his stand-up routine.
And now we have 3 wishes.
Guests also enjoyed various science demo stations and both live and silent auction items. All funds go towards supporting education at the TELUS World of Science in Edmonton.
We take it very seriously that we keep science and the science conversation front and center, not just with kids, but with folks of all ages.
Looking to get ahead of the crazy Christmas shopping craze? Stop by in the Mill Woods this weekend to peruse rare gemstones at the 2nd annual Edmonton Gem and Mineral Show. Gemstones, crystals, home decor, and much more are on display at the event, put on by mineral trading company Silver Cove. Co-owner Chris Roback says he enjoys doing shows like this so that school groups are able to experience rare gems up close.
One thing I find a lot of schools are lacking is a really good display of minerals. It's one thing to read about it, but it's another thing to actually see them in person and be able to touch them, pick them up, feel them.
Geological sales wrap up tomorrow evening at 5. Now, if you saw the film Aladdin as a kid, like I did, you probably wished for a magic carpet to fly on of your own. Well, some folks caught a small glimpse of what that might look like on the streets of New York City. This magical ride is the brainchild of Prank vs. Prank and Casey Neistat. It's not every day someone glides by on thin air. Since its release just before Halloween, the video already has over 9 million views on YouTube. If you want to see how this feat was pulled off, watch through till the end of the vid to get the link. Now, with Remembrance Day coming up on Wednesday, you can get in the spirit by experiencing music, ceremony, and color at the Winspear Center tomorrow evening. The Cosmopolitan Music Society is teaming up with the Loyal Edmonton Regiment Band as part of the 26th annual Remembrance Day tradition, Lest We Forget, a musical tribute. The event includes ceremonial military marches, wartime music, and a photographic tribute to past and present members of the Canadian Armed Forces.
For a while there, it was a lot of focus on the vets, but I think people forget that we have a lot of active members now.
The tribute begins at 7:30 tomorrow night. Tickets are still available online at ticksonthesquare.ca. And as we are staying in solemnness during this Remembrance Day week, let's remember to keep that respect as we head into the holidays. Everyone's going to be stressed out. Try to keep your problems back in the car. Now, back to the news desk with Brendan and Catherine.
Thanks, Josh. It has been 100 years since John McCrae penned his famous poem, In Flanders Fields.
A park in North Edmonton is celebrating the poem's centennial anniversary. The Memorial Park, located in Griesbach neighborhood, features storyboards to commemorate when McCrae wrote the poem back in World War I, along with a brass plaque with an image of the handwritten poem from 1915.
We thought it was very powerful to have an image of his handwritten poem. In the midst of all this terrible fighting in World War I that Canadian soldiers were involved in, he found the time to write this poem.
Other storyboards around the park feature the image of the poppy, which is a symbol of remembrance here in Canada. Flanders Field Park will remain open year-round as part of a larger war memorial in the neighborhood.
Brendan, your stash is coming along very nicely. It's great that you were all clean to start off the month.
Yeah, I was going to be clean for a while. I don't tend to grow very much, so I can kind of get a beard going, but it kind of sucks. So I'm guessing that by the 30th, this will still be pretty clean.
And are you going to keep that beard that you've got going on right now?
Probably not, because guess what, guys? Beards do not count for Movember. It's only the mustaches, so keep a big note of that when you register.
That's true. You want to make sure you're making all those mustaches count. Well, that's been your look at NAIT NewsWatch this week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a good weekend.
See you next time.